Well, hello! In this lesson, we are going to be learning about DOM manipulation, which basically means we're going to make it so we can make our websites dynamic and they can change what you see on the screen. Up until now, our websites haven't changed at all. You kind of just look at them, right? Now, what we want to do is make it so the actual content on the document changes. This is the HTML document, by the way. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, if you look over here, if I click over here and I say, hey, you guys are the best, and I press posts, you know what will happen? It's actually going to update this screen with this post. Watch what happens. Okay, and you see here, this new thing just popped up on the screen. This is a dynamic web page. It updates when you press a button. What they've done is they've done DOM manipulation. They've changed the document to whatever they wanted. And we could do the same thing now. And that's what makes websites and coding, this gives us unlimited powers now. So let's talk about this app. It's very simple. It has two buttons, an Einstein quote button and a Beyonce picture button. When we press the Einstein quote, I want Einstein to pop up right here. When I press the Einstein quote to pop up here. When I press Beyonce picture, I want a picture to pop up here. All right. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So here's a few things in the HTML we should take note of. There's two buttons here. You can see over here. The first one is the quote button. The second one is the picture button. Okay, right? We'll have to reference these soon. And here is where we're going to put our content in this div with the ID of content. All right. Now this could have any ID, whatever. I just want to be clear. In this example specifically, has the ID of content, and that's where we're going to be putting our new content. Okay, inside of there. So keep that in mind. So with that, let's get into it. All right, let's start the coding. How do we change the document when we press those buttons? All right, straightforward stuff. Let's start with step one. This is the same from last lesson. Step one is just reference the button. Okay, so we got to make a reference to that button so we could do things to it. So I'm going to say let quote button equal document.query selector. And then here, I'm going to put hashtag. And don't forget, you got to look at the actual ID of the button. And the ID of the button is quote. Okay, so let's put that here. Awesome. Now, step two, you might remember, we have to add the event listener. If you were saying that, event listener to button. Okay? And so I'll say quote button, quote button dot, no, you got it wrong there. Add event listener. We're going to add listen for clicks, and when we click, we will do something. Now this is where the fun starts. What do we want to happen? So here are the two new steps you'll be learning. So this much you should be aware of, and I always say this, test to see if it works. So let's see if this works. Test it out. If I press this, yeah, the alert's working. Okay, so that works. We can delete that. I just like testing things out, so I don't code too much without things breaking. All right, so now what we're going to do, this is a new step. I'm going to say step 3. Reference where you want your content to go. Okay? Now we are going to be changing something on the screen. Like our content has to go somewhere, right? Like where do we want to put it? So in this case, don't forget, we're going to put it inside of this div with the ID of content. So what I'll do is reference it. So I'll say let content, like before. And I'll say document.query selector. And I'm going to say hashtag content. Okay? Now that's an ID, so don't forget your hashtags. If I said what's the number one mistake people do, they'll probably write something like that, forget the ID, and then their thing doesn't work. So that's important. And then finally, this is it, step 4. Change the inner HTML of where you are putting the content. Okay, so what we're going to do is say this, content.innerHTML equals, and let me just show it to you and then I'll explain it. Let's just say I put something like this, hey. Watch what happens now when I press the button. See how hey pops up? Well, let's talk about that. Now remember, content is where we want our content to go, and the inner HTML is this. Notice how this is our content div, and in between these two divs, right, the opening and closing, that's the inner HTML, and we could put whatever we want in there, right? We could change it to anything. Now, I did something simple. I just said I want the inner HTML to have the word hey in it. But I could just put a whole bunch of random gibberish code. So let's say, even on this website, Oh, that's my Einstein quote website. Let's just say here, I wanted to go to this, and I'm just going to grab this whole thing. All right, I'll grab that. I wonder if I can even go out one. Yeah, let's grab this whole thing. Now it's going to look really bad because it doesn't have any of these CSS, and there's a bunch of crazy stuff there, so it's all going to look bad. Also, before I do that, let's not use quotes anymore. We're going to use something called backticks. Backticks look like that, and they are right next to the number 1. They're actually before the number 1 on your keyboard or below the escape button. So this is good practice. Just start using backticks. It'll save you a lot of headaches. So if you're using quotes, delete them. Let's use backticks. And now I'm going to copy and paste all this crazy code. Now look what happens when I press this. Notice how all this crazy code popped up. Hey, my face is there. So all of this crazy code right here can be inserted into the inner HTML. So that all is between here. All right, that's how that all happened. Now that's too crazy. I don't want all that stuff here. Let's get that all out of here. What I want is an Einstein quote. Oh, I'm stuck. It's saved. It's there forever. I could get rid of it. Okay. What I want is an Einstein quote. So I'm just going to put a P tag here. I'll close it. And let's just get a real Einstein quote. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Great. Love it, Einstein. You're the man. Put it there. I don't know what this extra stuff is. Oop. Let's get that out of here. All right. And let's press the Einstein quote button and see if it works. Nice. I don't love how it looks, so I'm actually going to style it. And you could do this like any HTML element. I'm just going to call this text. And I'm going to come over here to style.css. And I just give it the ID of text. So we can still style it. And I'll say font size 25 pixels. And let's do a little padding. Get a little space there. Okay, 25 pixels. Let's press our Einstein quote button. And that looks so much better now. Okay? So notice how you can give these HTML elements that you're putting in the inner HTML. You can give them IDs and style them just like you would before. So now that's there. All right, now we're just going to do the Beyonce button. This time I'm going to show you guys that you can insert an image instead of text. And let's just kind of go through the same steps again on this one. So I'm going to say, once again, step 1, reference the button. So we'll say let's see what, picture button equal document dot query selector hashtag picture was the ID, just to confirm. See the ID is picture. Good. We'll say picture button dot add event listener. Step 2 is add the event listener. We're listening for a click. Okay, listen for that clicky click. Great. Well, let's just check to see if it works. Okay, it works. Okay. Delete that, and then once again, let's reference where the content's going. I could be really lazy here because the content's going to the same exact place, so I'm just going to copy and paste it. Doesn't make a difference because, once again, all our content's going to the same box in this example. And then finally, we change the inner HTML. So content and inner HTML, capital, equals backticks. And I'm going to put an image tag here with a source, and we need to find our Beyonce picture. Beyonce picture, images, perfect, copy image address, and let's just put that here. Okay, so our quote works. Our Beyonce picture doesn't work? Okay, play cool hotshot. Let's try this one. Man, I'm sorry guys, it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed, I'm fully embarrassed. All right, let's try this again. That works? Hey, that works. All right, great. Now, I'll say this. The picture, it needs a little margin top, right? It's like kind of weird that's all the way at the top, so we can also give this an ID. Let's call it pic. You can come here to CSS. I say this, hashtag pic. Margin top. Let's do 30 pixels. Okay. Up, up. Oh, that's so good. All right, guys, that is it. So remember to review these 4 steps. The first 2 you should remember. You reference the button and event listener. And then we have the 2 new things where we're going to reference where we want to put the content and then change the inner HTML of that HTML element. Okay, that's it. Good luck, and go on to your Crazy Buttons lab.